What are you doing? It's really noisy. It's going to show up in the video feed. All right, this is Steampunk. This is Steampunk Stories at amberstreet.com, and I'm trying to figure out, and I figured out how they do the new live stream feature. They totally revamped it on Google, especially after deleting Google Plus last year. Up until today, I had not streamed until like maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago. It's been a while. And so there doesn't seem to be a way for anybody to, for me to invite anybody. It says, let's see, that people can, I see I have one person watching. Are you watching live? I guess there's somebody else. All right, well, I've got Daniel here on the line. We're going to have to do this old school because the Google feature over to my right here doesn't allow me to invite people anymore. I used to be able, there used to be a tab up here. I could invite people. I could click and invite people on my contact list to Google Plus. That doesn't exist anymore. So I've got Daniel on speakerphone. I'm not going to show you his, actually he's on Skype audio, so it's okay. We got Daniel from Daniel's Star Trek. He lives in Ontario, and I'm here in North Hollywood, California, here broadcasting live from my apartment. So say hello, Daniel.
Hello. How you doing, guys?
So today we're going to talk about Star Trek Picard. And I have to say, you know, I signed up for a free trial, but I've already canceled my free trial because I'm tight on money anyway. But then I signed up for another free trial through Amazon, so I should be able to watch episode 3. But, you know, anyway, I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I actually like it. I think it's a lot better than Discovery. It's a lot lighter toned than Discovery. Yeah, and I like that the Romulans look like Romulans. I mean, some Romulans look more like Vulcans anyway because they're both descended from the same race. They branched off on 2 different planets. You know, the Vulcans were on Vulcan and the Romulans were on Romulus. So, but they, you know, it had already been established in canon. So I have no problem with Romulans being in Starfleet. That explains Starfleet itself is not evil. It's the Romulans who have infiltrated Starfleet that are up to nefarious no good. But so, what's your opinion of Star Trek Picard, Daniel?
I thought it was really, really good. I mean, very well acted. Very, you know, the actors are great. You know, the acting is awesome. The story is great. The action is good. I think this is a really good step in the right direction. I thought it was awesome.
Well, cool. And for the one person who's actually watching me live on video feed, if you can invite some people. Anyway, so yeah, I was actually surprised. The one big surprise for me with episode 1 was that they killed off Dodge. They introduced her and then they killed her off by the end of the episode. And it was not what I expected. I thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm a Star Trek Mary Sue. I'm invincible. I need your help, but really I can take care of myself because I'm super strong. And there was rumors that she may have been the Borg Queen, but those rumors proved to be not true. So I was pleasantly surprised when it wasn't what I predicted. And she's got a twin, Soji, or it's Dash, and then Soji, or how do you pronounce it?
Like Soji or something?
Soji, okay, I think Soji. Anyway, so she's got a twin, which you're more acquainted with in episode 2. And then there's that Romulan agent who's sleeping with her because he's trying to get her information because apparently there's other synthetic life forms that are existing undercover and he needs to find out where they're at. He's got a contact at Starfleet. He's got that lieutenant. I can't remember her name, but she's an undercover Romulan. He makes fun of her for making her ears look more human. You know, he's like, you look terrible or whatever. And she appears to be has a co-conspirator, that Commodore at Starfleet headquarters, who is pretending to be Vulcan, but is really an undercover Romulan. So yeah, it looks pretty good. We haven't been introduced yet to Seven of Nine. We haven't seen Commander Riker or Deanna Troy yet. We haven't seen the ship, the new ship that Picard books passage on. So we haven't been introduced to all the characters yet. They're still doing character development and plot development, but it's pretty good so far. I liked the first two episodes. I thought it was interesting flashback to what happened at Mars, and and it and it ties into the trauma that Picard has been dealing with, PTSD from you know, the destruction of Mars, the destruction of Romulus. He's been dealing with PTSD of losing his friend, Commander Data.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have anything else to comment or add to that, Daniel?
Exactly. I think it's really, really well done, and like I love the flashback to like 2385, and we see Utopia Planitia shipyards on Mars. Now we see the fleets in orbit about to go to Romulus to save the Romulans, but we know how that turned out, right? The Federation threatened.
Well, I think it's a lot more complex than that. I think what happened was it was a combination of the Federation needed to pull back because they needed to defend their home turf, because Mars is in the backyard of the solar system. But in the solar system, Mars is literally the backyard of Earth, and so they needed to pull back to be able to defend Earth. But it's also they didn't have enough ships to evacuate all the people off of Romulus, because the shipyards were on Mars. Most of the Starfleet shipyards that were all the ships they were building were on Mars. Once that was destroyed, that prevented Starfleet from completing the rescue mission. So Picard, for whatever reason, became embittered, and he resigned from Starfleet, or he retired early. And he tried to get reinstated, but that admiral would not reinstate him. I don't like that they. I don't like that they. The only thing I don't. The only couple things I didn't really care for was I didn't like that they tied in with the Kelvin timeline, and I just don't understand why the admiral would use an F word. It just seemed very un-Starfleet-like the way the admiral was behaving. But other than that, for the most part, I would say it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's good to see Jean-Luc Picard reprising his role. I mean, this is something that I've been talking about for years. We want to see a crossover. I was talking about maybe doing a movie, but I didn't know they would actually do a streaming show. We wanted to see a crossover with like characters from Voyager, characters from Next Generation, characters, hopefully maybe later on in season 2, they can bring in some characters from Deep Space Nine. We want to see what these characters have been up to. We want to see a sequel, and this is the first true sequel. It's a hell of a lot better than Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery, I've seen the entire first season. I've seen all the short tracks. I've seen like a third of the second season, and it borderlines on like Star Trek Discovery does not feel like Star Trek to me. Most of the episodes suck. There were a couple episodes in season 1 that were okay, but they were kind of mediocre at best. And then there was, it was a little bit better with Captain Pike in season 2 with Star Trek Discovery. But so basically, on a good day with Star Trek Discovery, it's kind of mediocre or boring, and then on a bad day, it sucks. But so far with Picard, I love the first 2 episodes. I thought the first 2 episodes are pretty good. I had minor complaints, but overall, it is good to be going forward instead of doing another prequel. And I liked seeing the Enterprise D in HD. I mean, granted, it was only a dream sequence, but that was awesome. And seeing Data, even if he is only a dream.
Yeah, but he had the wrong uniform.
But it's a dream. It's a dream. So reality can be skewed in a dream.
Yeah.
He was wearing his Nemesis style uniform, but that could be explained away because you're looking at somebody who's dreaming, and their perception of reality can be very skewed in a dream, as you already know.
Yeah.
And so that could be explained. The weirdness of Data not being in the right uniform for the Enterprise D, that could be explained away by the dream. So I had no problem with that. And it also ties into Picard's trauma of losing Data.
Yeah. And you know that scene where like Picard looks out the window and he was like, I didn't know we were supposed to rendezvous with Mars. And then Data looked at Picard, like the last scene with Data, he looked at Picard and it was kind of creepy. You know, with that creepy, ominous tune, it was kind of creepy the way they did it. Very well shot. I liked it. Very, very well. That scene was very well done. And yeah, I liked it. It was really. And also, you know the cards they were holding when they were playing cards.
Yeah, he had all queens. I saw that.
It was like all queens. People are saying that's a hint at the board queen, and that's a hint at Q.
I think it might be a hint at Q. I think Q is fucking with Picard again.
Exactly. I did see a leaked image. Somebody filmed something that was going on the set.
They looked like Q. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
You saw that too?
Yeah, I saw that too, where most of the image was cropped off, but somebody managed to sneak a picture, and you see somebody that the arm looks like Q. So they did a very good job with like keeping Baby Yoda secret in Mandalorian, so maybe they'll keep Q secret as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll tie in with Q. I think that might be a clue that's actually Q. I don't think it's Board Queen. I think it's a clue that it's actually Q is messing with Picard. He always loves to mess with Picard. And so it'll be interesting to see because we haven't seen Q since All Good Things, the last episode of TNG. I really wish Q had appeared at least in one of the movies because he was a reoccurring character who was central to Next Generation. He appeared in the first episode, and he appeared in the last episode, and he appeared in a lot of important episodes in between. And it also goes counter to what people say. I love that they're tying in from season 2 of Next Generation with that one guy that created, or that Maddox, who created, I guess, used Data's technology to create an army of androids. But yeah, I love and that's a good episode. And so there were Q episodes. There were good episodes in seasons 1 and 2. I disagree with a lot of people who were saying that Next Generation was not good until season 3. It was good from the get-go because Q appeared in the first episode, and I had no problem with it. So I am pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be really cheesy. I thought it was going to be a lot darker in tone. It was going to, but yeah, like you were saying off camera, it's kind of like Star Trek Renegades, but with a higher budget. So yeah, I had no problem with that.
Yeah, because in the next episode of Picard, there's like that, that big battle in his house with, Picard has like a phaser rifle in his house or something, shooting somebody. And that's going to happen in the next episode. I think the Vulcan woman and the Romulan lady made to look human. They send those people after Picard, and they go into his house. And there's this big firefight in his house. And I think one of the Romulan people die or something. I mean, I'm just predicting. Maybe something happens to one of the Romulans, and then Picard gets pissed off, and then he just goes nuts.
Well, it's also, we haven't been introduced to the new version of Hugh, Hugh 20 years later. But Hugh, former Borg drone, apparently is going to have a role, and that's going to tie in with 7 of 9. I guess Commander Riker and Deanna Troi are only going to have a cameo because they look like they're retired. And I was kind of sad to see that Riker just retired, that he was no longer in Starfleet, at least based on what I could tell on the trailer. You know, I was hoping that he's supposed to be captain of another ship. What ship did Riker captain?
The
Titan. Yeah, I was hoping to see him like as captain of the Titan, but oh well. But yeah, it's very interesting. I can't wait till episode 3. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. It's only like 4 more days away. So yeah.
Yeah, I think February the 6th.
Yeah.
February the 6th is going to be episode 3, and I think there are 10 episodes in season 1 or 8.
I don't know.
Let me look that up real quick. See. There's 10.
Oh wow.
There's 10 episodes of season 1. I was thinking it would be like The Mandalorian. I think Mandalorian had only 8. So is there anything else you want to add about Picard?
Yeah, they retconned the whole thing. You know, instead of the Hobus star going supernova, it was the Romulan sun that went supernova. So they retconned that a little bit.
Well, explain that. I mean, I thought...
So, like, in Star Trek 09,
okay,
they said the Hobus star went supernova, and it started threatening the galaxy. It destroyed Romulus and a bunch of other planets we never saw. Well, in Picard, they retconned that. They said it wasn't the Hobus star that went supernova. It was the Romulan sun that went supernova and destroyed Romulus.
What was the Hobus star? I thought it was Romulus from the get-go. I didn't know that. I somehow missed that.
The Hobus star was a star light years away, 50 light years away, and people were pointing out, well, you know, if the star 50 light years away went supernova and the Romulans would have known about it, they would have evacuated long before it hit. But, and that didn't make any sense, so they retconned that now. And they said it was the Romulan sun that went supernova.
Okay.
You know, that makes more sense, you know?
Well, then that effectively, passive-aggressively does away with the Kelvin timeline in a sense.
Yeah, but I still think that the Kelvin timeline is still in existence. In fact, I did read a bunch of stuff that said that...
I liked it. It gives me a warm heart to think that the Kelvin timeline just never existed, because it's shit. Everything in the Kelvin timeline, in my opinion, is shit. But, hold on a sec. Let me look up.
I mean, we may explore the Kelvin timeline in future seasons. I kind of hope they do, in a way, because, like, I mean, it would be interesting if they added it to, like, the myriad of universes they already explore.
Yeah, I'm just looking up. Hold on, I can't remember that dude's name. No, the lead writer and another thing is, it's going to be good because Patrick Stewart's not going to give us crap. He is he is co-executive producer on this, and so he said he wanted to do something new and original. He didn't want to do the same old thing, but.
And I mean, everything Patrick Stewart touches is like it's gold, right? It's awesome.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, and he's a good actor, and Shakespearean trained actor, and he's not going to let Star Trek fans down because he has an emotional connection with Star Trek fans. I mean, last year at San Diego Comic-Con, he talked about that police officer who wrote him a letter, said that, there are days when he feels everything's dark and grim, and then he puts in a DVD of Star Trek Next Generation and watches an episode of Next Generation, and then he realizes the future is going to be okay because Captain Picard is there. And he said that touched him emotionally and motivated him to return. He never thought he would return to the role of Picard, but that motivated him to return. And so, and also Michael Chabon, he's the lead writer on this. Alex Kurtzman's still listed as co-creator, but Alan Chabon is the lead creator. It's created by, Kristen Beyer, Alex Chabon. Alex Chabon, I see his influence because he's most famous for writing the screenplay to Spider-Man 2, and that was a pretty good movie. Would you not agree?
Wait, Michael Chabon was in Spider-Man 2?
He wrote Spider-Man 2. He wrote the story.
Yeah, I know. I never knew that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so they actually picked a good writer who knows how not to write crap. Most people, agree that Spider-Man 2 was probably the best of the trilogy. Although I did like the first one with the Green Goblin, but he wrote the screenplay for Spider-Man 2. So that gives me full confidence that this is not going to suck because this guy knows how to do character development. He knows how to make interesting villains. He knows how to do an interesting story. And is also co-managed by Patrick Stewart because if you're executive producer, you're co-executive producing, you have a lot of influence. So between Patrick Stewart and Michael Chabon, I'm very confident that this is going to be a good series. You may not like everything. Like I said, I like 90% of what they did with this. I was hoping that they wouldn't do the Romulan homeworld destruction, which kind of sort of informally ties it into the Kelvin timeline. But they did. But it's not, it's still interesting dynamics with the Romulan refugee crisis and Romulans being on Earth. And now you have Romulans in your backyard. And so, yeah. And I know that some people were criticizing, they were like, well, how would Romulan agents beam into the headquarters of Starfleet without being detected? Well, you got that Commodore, and you have that lieutenant at Starfleet headquarters that's undermining Starfleet from within. They're undercover agents that are inside Starfleet. So, yeah, so that would explain why they could provide cover for Romulan agents beaming in. That's pretty interesting, and it's very similar to the way the Romulans behaved in TNG. Romulans are very passive aggressive. They prefer to undermine their enemies from within, and they prefer to work in the shadows and backstab you. They do not like Romulans don't like a fair fight. They don't like to fight face to face. They like to undermine you from behind. Anyway, anything else you have to add about the future of Star Trek or Picard?
And also, that the whole thing on Utopia Planitia when they go down and you see everybody working on Mars, and then you see these F8 robots, or one of the robots called F8 or something.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. That in episode 2 you actually get a flashback to the time when during the Mars attack. Go ahead.
And it flashes back to 2385, and you see all these F8 robots on Mars, and then some people are nice to the robot. Some people are like, oh, he's freaky, and and they're kind of mean to him. Some are mean, some are nice, and And then you see people ordering food at replicators and stuff, and it's really nice and cool. And they're talking to the robot, and he goes, hey, how you doing? Hell yeah, and that's one of the things people were complaining about. Oh, they don't use that kind of language in the future. Hell yeah, they don't do that.
Well, some people in the future, I mean, like there was that in Star Trek Generations, Data used the word shit.
Yeah.
So some people will use language in the future, but I know it had been established that was not commonly used. And I had a little bit of a problem with the Admiral using the F word, fuck. Because I would think if you were an Admiral, you would have some decorum, even if you don't like somebody, because it's obvious that she doesn't like Picard, because she thinks that Picard abandoned Starfleet by quitting 15 years ago. And she's like, oh, you want to come back now, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not going to approve it. And so, but you would think that she would have some discipline, self-discipline. Otherwise, why would she have made Admiral, to hold back her rage like that? So it's interesting. I know that she is based on a character, I think it's played by the same actress that she appeared in Next Generations. She was like a lieutenant or something.
Yeah, too. She was actually pretty hot back then, but now when I see her, I'm like, whoa, she really aged up, man.
Well.
At first, when Emergency Awesome pointed that out, like it's the same. She was like an ensign on the Enterprise in season 2. I was like, is that the same actress? Really?
Well, she's got white hair.
Yeah, but she was hot in 1988 when season 2 was on.
Would you consider her hot now?
No, not really.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot was she?
She back then she was a wide 10, but now she's like.
Well, they say gentlemen prefer blondes. Why not platinum blondes?
That's not platinum blonde. That's white.
Well, that's the definition of platinum blonde. White, like total solid white hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't she a little bit elderly for me? I think so.
Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm trying to make it funny. Anyway, yeah, whatever. I understand. Yeah, she had not aged well. I will agree with that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's and then like the F8 robot, like he's standing there, and all of a sudden he can see his eyes. There's something going on in his eyes, like
somebody's remote controlling him. I mean,
it's like someone's downloading instructions into him, like by remote or somewhere else and stuff. And then the robot he goes to the controls, he deactivates the defense field, the defense shield, and then someone tries to stop him, and the robot breaks the guy's neck, and then then the girl launches at him, but then he shoots her. And then he starts killing everybody, and then finally he kills himself. And then the attack on Utopia Planitia begins.
Yeah, I thought that was good. That was good. So I would give Star Trek Picard Episode 1, I would give it a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. And Episode 2, I would give it, it was a little bit slower, but it was still pretty good. I would give Episode 2 an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. What about you, Daniel? What's your...
Go ahead.
Go.
I would give it a Remembrance. I think it was called Remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode, I would give it a 9 out of 10. And the second episode, Maps and Legends, I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, wow. So you like the second episode better. Okay.
Oh, yeah. It was really good. And also, let's explain. Okay, we were talking about this. Like some of the theories going online is the holographic doctor from Voyager was the one who downloaded the information onto the F8 robot, the android.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably because he's fighting for he's fighting for synthetic freedom. You know, because like robots and holograms are slaves now to humans, and he's trying to stage a revolt to show them that, oh, well, I don't know, you know, he's trying to stage a revolt. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that do? If you do that, what does that do for your cause? I don't think so, not very much.
Well, I think that somebody undermined the androids on Mars Policia, or the base on Mars, the star base on Mars. Somebody is obviously, like you said, downloading instructions and undermining them. So they had no sense of self-preservation and no sense of free will. So yeah, it's interesting that they, 15 years later, they're still not sure who sabotaged that shipyard. But it's interesting. It's an interesting background. It's a mystery that hopefully they'll unravel. I heard that Picard has already been renewed for season 2 because of the positive reception.
Exactly. It's going to start filming in the spring.
Well, I mean, Patrick Stewart, he's like 78 now. Hopefully he's still up to it. And hopefully Patrick Stewart will live to be 100, I hope.
Absolutely. But, okay, let me say, the second theory is that lore could be behind it, because Matt, I think with the disassembled lore, and people are like, oh, it's probably lore's behind this whole thing, because Data is dead. Where did they find? They must have gotten like some parts of Data to make the girl androids. Well, Data's gone, so the only one left is Lore, right? So, it's probably Lore.
Well, we don't know. Data did a painting that was in the Picard archives at Starfleet. Data did a painting that, from like 20 years before, entitled Daughter, that looked like Soji and Dodge. So it's a mystery, and we all like a good mystery, and we all like good stories and good sci-fi, and most people love Patrick Stewart. He's just such a great actor, has a lot of commanding charisma. So I'm very excited. If you don't have anything else to add, I guess I'll end the stream for now. We've been streaming for a half hour. Go ahead.
What I really hope for is, do you think William Shatner can appear in this series? I mean, I hope
William Shatner's ego is too large to appear.
I kind of hope so.
I don't think he would. Because when I asked William Shatner a couple of questions that it's in my video feed if you want to look at it. It's way back in 2015. I went to the press conference, asked him a couple questions about Star Trek. He didn't even want to talk about Star Trek. And the rumor is that the reason why he wasn't in the J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek was because he wanted $50 million to do a cameo. And J.J. Abrams said, that's too much. We can't accommodate you there. And so I don't blame J.J. Abrams for not, that would have rose the production costs to the point where the movie would have made no money. So, I don't think he'd be willing to do that unless you pay him like $50 million, because he's that egotistical. He got that much. William Shatner suffers from what I like to call actor disease. Where they're like egotistical. Yes, I get that it takes talent to be an actor, but it's like you take yourself way too seriously and you're way too uptight about it, and you don't like any kind of criticism, and you place overvalue on yourself, and you tend to be selfish and very narcissistic, and that sums up William Shatner. But it's been about a half hour, so I think I'm going to end it here.
Before we go, I gotta say, I'm so excited. Did you know that right now, Discovery Season 4 and Section 31 has entered production?
I don't really care about Discovery. I hate that show. But I don't. It's weird that Well, I guess we could say this. We could talk a little bit about Discovery. It's weird that they're already doing season 4 when season 3 hasn't even been released yet, and there's a delay. Do you know why? Why is there a delay in the release of season 3 for Discovery? Do you know why?
No, I'm not sure.
From what I understand, all the episodes for season 3 have already been filmed, but they're not on the CBS All Access streaming because last year season 2 premiered in January. And here it is already February, and there's still no season 3. And they renewed it for season 4 despite the heavy criticism. And I just don't, I'm not that excited about it. I mean, I know you like Discovery, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so, but I'm more excited for Section 31 now.
You're more excited for what now?
For Section 31.
Oh. They're going to do a Section 31? Yeah, I'm not that excited. I think the Empress character is just silly. I can't stand her. And it's like, why would you allow a corrupt emperor who probably murdered millions of people from the Mirror Universe to even be a part of Section 31? That just seems to go against what Starfleet's about. And it's silly that they just made her captain because she looks like the original captain that died. It's all very contrived. And you can tell that Alex Kurtzman, who worked closely with Abrams, is really good at spinning the bullshit, but it doesn't spin well with me. But anyway, I'm going to cut it short because I want to make this video too long. But this is Steampunk Star Raising Out, and this has been a review for Star Trek Picard, and I've been here with Daniel from Daniel Star Trek. And you have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.